So you've done your research on universities, you sent emails, you submitted applications, and now you want to figure out how much it will cost you so you can start budgeting. And credit to you for that, because that's a smart decision. You're moving to a completely new country and want to be financially ready for it. Well, you've come to the right place. I'm an international student living in Germany for over a year now and completing a master's in data science at TU Dortmund. And today I'll be taking you through the different costs of life here after starting university, from rent to tuition to insurance and so on. And at the end, I'll show you exactly how much it costs me on average per month while living here in Dortmund. Before we get started, I make content around life/university in Germany. So if you like this type of content and want to support me, then I'd appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. Number 1. Tuition fees. One of the biggest perks of studying in Germany is the fact that it's free. There are no tuition fees at public universities. Instead, you pay a student contribution every semester. This contribution is around 300 euros. Some of it goes to the student union/student services, and the rest of it gets you the famous semester ticket. With this ticket, you can take buses, metros, and all regional trains for free in all of Germany. The only exception is the ICE, Germany's high-speed train, for which you have to buy a fare on your own. At number 2, we've got rent. As a student in Germany, you've got two options. The first is to find a place in student housing, which is pretty equivalent to winning a lottery ticket. They feature the most affordable student accommodation possible across all of Germany. However, waiting times on student accommodation can be as long as 7 months. I mean, it's still worth the try, but basing your estimations on it would be quite unrealistic, as it's far from guaranteed. Second option is to live in a shared flat, known as WG. The way it works is you rent a private room in an apartment with other people and share the common areas like the living room, the bathroom, and the kitchen. If you prefer this option, then I highly recommend that you search for people that are clean and respectful. Otherwise, you risk turning your university experience into lifelong trauma. Rental accommodation is unsurprisingly the highest monthly cost here in Germany, and it depends mostly on the city you want to live in. Let's take for example Munich, which sits on the expensive side. Being one of the biggest and fanciest cities of Germany comes with a big cost. Munich is honestly brutal for students. Bigger rooms cost 800 euros on average, and competition is extremely high. If you, however, decide to go for smaller options like Dortmund or Bochum, then your student life would be much more affordable. WG prices in Essen, for example, sit at around 493 euros on average. You have the chance to save much more while also getting more options due to a looser competition. Now, a quick reminder that picking what city to live in Germany goes hand in hand with picking a university. That's why I think your university choice should not only be a career building choice or strategy, but also a financial strategy. And if you're worried about university rankings and whatnot, then you might be pouring your energy in the wrong places. University rankings in Germany simply don't matter as much as you think. But that's not the topic of today's video, so I'll leave that for later. At number 3, we have health insurance. In Germany, every student is obligated to have some sort of health insurance in order to be able to enroll in university. There's actually two types: public health insurance and private health insurance. Generally speaking, the public health insurance is the topic for students, so that's what I'll focus on. Students under the age of 30 are eligible for public health insurance, and they benefit from a reduced student rate. Prices in 2026 range between 140 euros and 155 euros depending on the provider. There's a variety of options for public health insurance providers in Germany, like TK, BARME, AOK. However, TK, Technische Krankenkasse, remains the top #1 choice for students. Applying for public health insurance in 2026 is super easy, and it takes only about 10 minutes. You can apply for it even before coming to Germany. You just need your passport, a university admission, your German address, and an IBAN. And once you have these figured out, then you can start the process. At number 4, we've got groceries. There's quite a few options for grocery shopping in Germany, but not all are student friendly. Supermarkets like Rewe, Edeka, and Kaufland sit on the expensive side. However, they often provide more variety and better fresh products. Optimal supermarkets for students are Aldi, Lidl, Penny, and Netto. They offer the cheapest prices across the country, and the quality is actually really good, especially Aldi and Lidl. Me personally, my go-to is Lidl because they pretty much have everything I need. To be honest, it's kind of harsh to put Rewe in the expensive category, so I'll put it in the category in between the two. Plus, they can be real lifesavers sometimes as they have longer opening hours. Imagine it's 9 p.m. on a Saturday, everything is closed. You might think your life is over, But actually, Rewe is still there for you. A month of groceries in Germany can cost you between 150 euros and 300 euros depending on your needs and where you shop. But generally speaking, if you shop at, for example, Aldi or Lidl, then 250 euros should be more than enough. At number 5, we've got the phone bill. The main operators for mobile plans in Germany are Deutsche Telekom, Vodafone, and O2. They have the best and most reliable network quality in the country. Mobile plans can range from 20 euros to 40 euros depending on the plan you choose. There's some other slightly cheaper prices that aren't really very known. For example, I personally have a phone plan with a provider called SIM24 that a friend had showed me first when I moved to Germany, and it only cost me 14 euros per month. The network is overall decent to good, but you can make really good savings. Prices also depend on the length of the contract. For example, a 2-year contract can result in way cheaper rates compared to a month-to-month contract. At number 6, we've got internet. As university students, you will oftentimes need to get work done at home, and for that, you need a reliable VLAN. Wi-Fi prices can range from 25 euros to 45 euros depending on the provider. But remember, this is a splittable cost, so if you split it with your flatmates, then you can turn it into a super tiny cost as low as 10 euros per month. So that's nothing to worry about. At number 7, we've got gym membership. If you're somebody like me who enjoys spending their time lifting weights, then finding a gym will not be a problem for you. Germany features several affordable gyms like Fitix, McFit, and Easy Fitness. They offer cheap memberships and have locations all over Germany. Their membership prices range between 20 to 30 euros per month. These type of gyms often have some sort of special deal for new contracts, so there's a big chance for you to make significant savings, especially in your first year. At number 8, we've got eating out. There's always that time of the month where you just want to take a break from eating homemade food, you want to go out with your friends, or simply want to fulfill your cravings, and that should be taken into account. Prices for food in Germany range from as low as 5 euros to 20 euros and even more. If you like to eat out and still want to make good savings, then döner places will become your friend. A good quality döner costs about 7 euros or 8 euros at most. However, if you're the type of person who prefers to go to proper restaurants, then you'll be looking to spend 15 euros on average. Overall, a balanced student-friendly budget for eating out should be from 50 to 150 euros maximum. So let's say 100 euros on average. At number 9, we've got leisure/personal. Now let's talk about a cost that a lot of people forget when they calculate their budget, and that is leisure and personal spending. So basically, we're talking about going out with friends, going on small trips, buying clothes every once in a while, but also we'd be talking about subscriptions like Spotify, Netflix, ChatGPT, and whatnot. This category really depends on your lifestyle. But on average, you should expect anywhere between 50 euros to 200 euros max. If you're someone who stays pretty disciplined and doesn't go out that much, then you can keep it on the lower end. But if you like to enjoy your weekends, doing activities, spending a little on yourself from time to time, then it can go up pretty fast. And honestly, this is one of those costs you should really account for seriously. Because at the end of the day, you're not moving to Germany just to survive. You're moving here to experience a new life. So don't forget this one. At number 10, we've got the ZDF fee. Now there's one more cost that a lot of students forget at first, and that is the broadcasting fee. It is currently 8 euros and 36 cents per month per household, not per person. So if you live alone, then you usually pay the full amount yourself. But if you live in a WG, then this is a splittable cost. So you can split it with your flatmates. And in that case, it becomes a pretty small monthly expense per person. The basic rule is one apartment, one contribution, no matter how many people live in the apartment. So overall, for most students living in a shared flat, this is not a huge cost, but it is definitely one that you should not forget to include in your budget. So we've gone through the common costs that any student will have to deal with in Germany and run estimations on each of the 9 mentioned items. Now is the time for the total estimation. If we take the example of a student living in a relatively affordable city like Essen or Dortmund, staying in a WG, having public insurance, shopping mainly at Lidl or Aldi, using a cheap phone plan, splitting the Wi-Fi with flatmates, having a basic gym membership, eating out from time to time, and leaving space for personal spending, then a realistic monthly budget would land somewhere around 1100 euros per month. Now Now guys, you have to keep in mind, of course this number can go lower if you're very disciplined with your spending, or if you simply get lucky with cheaper rent. And on the other hand, it can also go up pretty quickly depending on the city you live in, your lifestyle, and how often you eat out and spend on other things. In my case personally, since I'm a student living in Dortmund, I also wanted to give you a glimpse of what my monthly expenses actually look like, just so you can have a more concrete and realistic example instead of just broad estimations. Okay, now it's time to give you a little sneak peek at my bank account. So here's exactly how much I personally spend on each category. For rent, I spend 450 euros. For health insurance, I have a public health insurance with the ticket, and I spend per month 146 euros and 29 cents. For groceries, funny enough, I actually tracked a month of groceries not too long ago, and I found a total of 246 euros and 33 cents. I'm kind of on a bulking diet, so this is a little higher than normal. As far as the phone bill, I spend 19 euros and 99 cents, basically 20 euros. I have a contract with SIM24 for 50 gigabytes of data and unlimited calls and messages. For internet, I spend 11 euros and 85 cents, and it's low because I share it with my roommate. For the gym, I spend 29 euros per month, and I have a membership with a local FitX that's not too far from home. For eating out, I spend only about 40 euros per month. Like I said, I'm kind of on a diet, so I prefer to make my own food just so I can have more control over what I eat. For leisure / personal, this is honestly a bit difficult to estimate because there's months where I go on trips and there's months where I do absolutely nothing, especially during exam season. But if I were to estimate it, I would say it's around 70 euros per month. For ChatGPT, I spend 20 euros per month, and I cannot go without it because I need it heavily for school. And lastly, for the CDF fee, I pay 9 euros and 18 cents, and it's low because I also split it with my roommate. And so that brings us to a total of 1,042 euros and 32 cents per month. Now guys, obviously this is just my case, and yours can look different depending on the city you live in, your habits, your priorities, but at least I hope this gives you a much clearer idea of what to expect when moving to Germany as an international student. So that was it for today's video. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments, or if I might have forgot some sort of cost. I mean, there's so many costs, and I genuinely have this feeling that I forgot something. But that's no problem, because you can point it out in the comments. And also, please let me know if you liked the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.